Welcome to Genoa, welcome to the beautiful setting of Villa Cambiasio, and to this event I've organized with the Japanese delegation, the Japan Society for the Promotion of Science, which is about opportunities for scholars, researchers, and professors for research and study in Japan. And the event will take place as follows. We will start with a welcome speech from Professor Fulvio Mastrogiovanni, Provost of International Relationships at the University of Genoa, and Professor Mario Marchese, Provost of the PhD programs at Unige. Then the event will be divided into two parts. In the first part, we will have the presentation of the Japan Society for the Promotion of Science, precisely Dr. Saigo and Ms. Fujimoto and Ms. Koda. Okay, they will illustrate the Japan Society for the Promotion of Science and all the opportunities we have for research and study in Japan. In the second part of the event, we will have all the experiences of former fellows, that's scholars who already had a fellowship with the Japan Society for the Promotion of Science, coming from different parts of Italy, and belonging also to different disciplines, so both science and the humanities. And then we will conclude with a questions and answers session, okay? When you can ask all, you're interested in and you want to discuss and investigate more. So I wish you a nice event. Please enjoy it. And I would like to start with Professor Fulvio Mastrogiovanni.
So thank you very much, Stefania, for organizing this. She's the main organizers. And thank you very much to our Japanese friends for being here. And lastly, thanks to all of you for being here. Currently, I serve as a Vice Rector for International Affairs, so it's my responsibility also to promote this kind of events. And in this initial salutations, in this initial address, I would like to show a few things related to our universities that not all of us or not all of our students may even know, and then also for you as our guest. So let's start with this. I don't know if it goes, with the video. So for our friends, our Japanese friends, our university is quite old, 6 centuries old, and in 6 centuries, we never be able to build a campus. No? So we are distributed in the city. And of course, we are a comprehensive public university. So we are organized into 5 schools, 22 departments, plus other important centers like excellence centers, research hospitals associated with them. We are quite a big university, 34,000 students, approximately 10% of them are international. No? So in spite of being old, we like to look at the future, especially to try to promote an international outlook. We do not have only the so-called campus, let's say, here in Genoa, but we are distributed in the region with other campuses in small areas. We have many study programs, more than 130 study programs. 18 of them are labeled by the Italian government as international, so taught in English, plus having also other stuff. But I don't want to say much of the things. We are here, we are located in this place, but I think especially that this is the wrong presentation. So there is a mistake in the presentation. No? So it's not the proper one. So I will, but no problem. So, but I would like to say just a few things about this university, and I will invent upon, and I will share with you the presentation that we have. It's not the proper one, but it's a mistake, no problem. So I wanted to say just a few things. So, and in particular, we have a number of cooperation with Japanese universities. In particular, we have a cooperation with Keio University, with which we have established a number of MOUs. We have a cooperation with a University of Tokyo. We are establishing now a cooperation with Waseda University. We have a cooperation with the Japan Advanced Institute of Science and Technology, by which I'm also affiliated to that institute, so which is when I can. And we have some interesting also study programs jointly with Japanese institutions. In particular, we have a study program which is double degree program together with Keio University about robotics, for instance, that I know very well. But it is a double degree whereby students spend 1 year in Genoa and 1 year in Tokyo, in the Keio campus. With respect to other cooperations with other universities, we, of course, we like a lot to promote, mobility for students. And in particular, we have a nice program that could complement sometimes what you could offer. And is the fact that for students, we have a specific outreach program allowing our students to get specific local scholarship for going beyond, not in the EU, but of course in other universities, including Japanese universities. So the last thing I want to mention very quickly is that we also have nice research cooperation with, of course, Japanese universities. You will know that we have alumni of Jsps, so they will share their experience. But we also have active projects, for instance, in Marie Curie projects, 2 Marie Curie projects, including Japanese institutions, and we have it finished 1 year ago, a very big European and mixed fund project about robotics, together with 3 Japanese institutions and 5 European institutions. So I apologize for the wrong presentation, because maybe there was a mixing up when we made the USB connections, okay? But that was just to introduce the things. I will share the presentation with you, but they're a real one. But I will really like to tell to all of you, please be active. Traveling, and especially I've been to Japan many times, but traveling and the international experience is always a very good thing, because when you leave your country or whatever for such a culturally different institutions and places, there is a lot to learn. So you come back if you want to come back, and you are definitely a different person. So that's, in my opinion, a very important step to consider. So please ask questions and be active during these sessions. Thanks. Thanks.
Okay, good morning. I'm here to speak about PhD, so doctoral studies, and relations with companies. In practice, this year we have reached our top level concerning funding for PhD. We have offered more than 500 we call them borse di studio, okay? They are scholarship, okay, to participate in our PhD courses. The most important communication is that actually more than 30% of these scholarships are funded by industries, companies, associations, not part of the University of Genoa. The University of Genoa funds 30% of the scholarship, and about 31% are funded by the minister of the university. The rest comes from European projects and other initiatives concerning mobilities, international affairs, and so on. So our main investment also helped by the government, by our region, okay, goes towards a strong relation with the companies and industries, because only approximately 10% of our PhD students can have an academic career. So a new vision of a PhD is needed. So no longer a PhD totally oriented for the academic career, so to be a future professor, but a PhD oriented to applications, to industrial research, and to be added, to be of help for the industry, okay? To become a scientist, but within an industry, within a research and development in the industry. So this is the new vision of the PhD, not only concerning technical PhD, okay? We have the first PhD in Italy this year that is labeled as an industrial PhD, and actually is a PhD in modern and classical literatures. Okay, all PhD studies can go towards industry and companies. Not only Italian, okay? Of course, the hope is to train people to be added in our nation, but not only, okay? This is the first data, and it is heavily linked to this day. So the need and the chance to have a period abroad in an important country so developed as Japan is essential for us as academic staff, and is essential for you as a student, okay? So this is the first data. The second data is the international viewpoint of this. We need contacts with other universities and with the companies abroad, because we need to enlarge our horizon from all viewpoints, okay? We have that more than 20% of our students, PhD students, I mean, come from abroad. More than 50% did not get a degree in our university. So we need contacts with other institutions. And I think that having an experience during our PhD abroad in Japan is a great chance for all of you and for all of us. So actually I joined this day with great enthusiasm, because I think we can have a great future together. And this contacts with all countries, but in particular with countries where technology, where science is so developed, is really, really important. So I need to thank you, all colleagues and all components of a Japanese delegation to be here, because we can really build together something important. Thank you so much.
Okay, now it's the turn of the Japanese delegation, and we will start with Dr. Saigo with his introduction, please. And then followed by Fujimoto and Koda, which will illustrate the program of the Japan Society for the Promotion of
Science. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Kazuhiko Saigo, the director of Jsps Strasbourg office. First of all, I would like to thank to all of you for coming here to attend our information session. I also express my sincere thanks to Professor Stefania Michelucci, and to Provost Giovanni and Marquez and others related to University of Genoa for organizing this information session to introduce the JSPS International Program. Japan Society for the Promotion of Science, JSPS, is an independent administrative institution mainly supported by budget from the Japanese government to contribute to the advancement of the all fields of humanities, social sciences, and natural sciences. JSPS plays a pivotal role in the administration of Japanese scientific and academic programs to award granting aid for science research, to foster young researchers, to collect and distribute information on scientific research activity, and most important, to promote international scientific collaboration and exchange. Although we have been in very difficult situation due to the COVID-19 pandemic for these 2 years, Japanese waterfront measures will be almost relaxed from the October, middle of the October, to make you to easily enter in Japan. Upon such situation improvement, JSPS Trust Office would like to contribute to strengthen the relationship between Italian and Japanese researchers by providing a variety of opportunities as is in the past. Today, my colleague, Ms. Fujimoto and Ms. Koda will introduce the international program to you. In addition, JSPS alumni who visit Japan for research by the support of the JSPS program present their experience in Japan concerned with not only research and also life. So finally, I hope JSPS and I look forward to receive your application to the JSPS International Program. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Junko Fujimoto, and I'm the Deputy Director of JSPS Strasbourg office. And first of all, I'd like to thank University of Genoa for inviting us today. And thank you especially for Professor Stefania Sensei. And thank you for arranging this session during this such a busy time. And I would like to thank all of you who attend this meeting. Well, this is my second time to visit here in Genoa. When it was 20 years ago or something, I forgot, but when I was a student, I visited here for one time to watch a football match between Italy versus Spain. And yes, I'm a big football fan, and for Japanese, Genoa is very famous for the ocean city, but for the football fan in Japan, Genoa is so famous because one of the most famous Japanese footballer, Miura Kazu, who was the first football player who played as a Serie A player as a Japanese. So this is a famous place for the football fan in Japan. But anyway, I'm very pleased to come back here. So nice to meet you. And today I'd like to introduce you the JSPS programs, which may be useful for you to study or research in Japan, as well as to collaborate with Japanese researchers the researchers in Japanese universities and institutions. So here is our outline of our talk. First, I would like to introduce JSPS and JSPS international programs, which is the main part of our talk. And then we would like to also introduce our center, Strasbourg Center, Strasbourg office. But before that, let's get started with short introduction of Japan. As you may know, Japan is located in East Asia, and the capital city is, of course, Tokyo. And Japan consists of more than 7,000 islands, including small ones and large ones. And the population of Japan is approximately 130 million, and that is almost double of that of Italy. And in terms of area, Japan has 380,000 square kilometers, and it is a little bit bigger than Italy. You may be surprised, Japan is one of the most heavily forested countries. Forests cover about 70% of the land. And next, why Japan is a good place when you pursue your research. First of all, there are a lot of world-class universities in Japan, especially in the field of science and technology. 41 universities are ranked within the top 1,000 of QS World University rankings. For example, the University of Tokyo ranks 10th in physics and astronomy and 13th in chemistry. There are many other good schools and institutions and excellent researchers. And secondly, Japanese culture is fascinating. I know Italian culture is wonderful and I love them so much, but I believe that you will find that Japanese culture is unique and interesting. In Japan, for example, you can eat good meals within 10 euros and you can easily enjoy all kinds of food from all over the world. For example, not only Japanese, but also Chinese and of course, Italian. Japanese food culture is especially recommended. And thirdly, you can enjoy a conducive living environment in Japan. Japan is safe country and the infrastructures are very secure. So for these reasons, Japan would be a good choice for you to develop your research. And there are many universities and research institutes in Japan. As for the universities, there are 86 national universities and 94 public universities and 615 private universities. And these URL might be of your help to find your host researcher in Japan. Especially the research map will be a good tool to search a researcher in Japan. You can search researchers by keywords, names, institutions, and so on. Next, I'd like to introduce JSPS. And here is a short video. Sorry, with no sounds. Yeah, yes, this is how to get a grant. Thank you. And this is what we support. And JSPS stands for the Japan Society for the Promotion of Science. It's so to say national funding agency located under the Ministry of Education, Culture, Sports, Science, and Technology, we call MEXT. MEXT is positioned under the Cabinet Office. The MEXT is responsible for the whole education in Japan, from preschool through universities and lifelong learning programs. So this slide shows the framework of the Japanese science and technology policy system. So we are under the Japanese government. And there are few more information of JSPS. JSPS was established in 1932 among the several funding agencies. Under the Japanese government, JSPS is the only one that places highly value on both research autonomy and research diversity. We support all science and academic research based on the free idea of researchers. In other words, curiosity-driven research. We cover all fields, not only the natural sciences, but also all humanities and social sciences. In the application and selection phase, we take a bottom-up approach in supporting curiosity-driven research and invite applications through open calls. Applications are evaluated via peer review and selected based on their academic or scientific merit. This slide shows our missions and activities. And I'd like to talk a bit about our budget. For 2021, our budget was about 2 billion euros, and over 99% of our budget is from Japanese government. Our biggest funding program is grant in aid for scientific research, which we call Kakenhi. Kakenhi is the largest competitive funding program in Japan, and it covers all scientific fields, and about 80,000 projects were supported last year. And now I move to explain another JSPS flagship programs, our international programs. So let me introduce my colleague, Chika.
So hello everyone, my name is Chika Koda. I'm also a staff member of JSPS Strasbourg office. I'm really happy to come to Genova and see you all at this very beautiful building campus. Thank you for having us today. And from here, I'd like to talk about our international programs that we are offering for the researchers overseas. And these are our latest brochures, which are available today. We have them in front at the left side of you. So please take one when you leave here. And then you can also download the PDF files from our website. And our international programs can be categorized into the 3 types: individual exchanges here, and the bilateral programs, multilateral programs. And first of all, I'd like to introduce our programs for the individual researchers here. We have a variety of fellowships for the researchers in all career stages, from the PhD students to the established and senior professors. And for doctoral students and postdocs, there are 2 programs. And before going into the details of the program, I would like to mention about our basic system of accepting your application. Mainly, your application will be accepted through your host researchers in Japan. So the candidate discuss and prepare the research plans and the research application form with your host researcher. And then your host institution in Japan will submit the application form to the JSPS Tokyo on behalf of the candidate. So please make sure to communicate well with your host researcher in Japan before applying the programs. And however, only for the postdoctoral fellowship standard, which I will explain later, there is one more way of application. In this scheme, you can submit the application to MUR, the Italian Ministry of Universities and Research, by yourself, not through your host institutions. Then the screening will be done in the MUR, and the result will be forwarded to the JSPS Tokyo. You can use both schemes for the standard program, but in case both are accepted, luckily, you have to withdraw one of your applications. And to increase your chances of obtaining fellowships, it may be better to apply from both sides. And I would like to move on to the details of each programs. This is postdoctoral fellowships short term. In order to apply for this program, you must be enrolled in a PhD course and be scheduled to obtain a PhD within 2 years. Or you must have obtained already a PhD within the past 6 years. And for the financial support, round-trip air ticket, insurance, and maintenance allowance is approximately 2,640 euros or 1,458 euros. This depends on your degree. And in addition to these, your host researcher can apply for the research budget of 70,000 yen per month for you. And once you are selected, you can stay in Japan from 1 month to 12 months. And here is the information about the application. And for this postdoctoral fellowship short term, candidates are asked to apply through your host institution in Japan to the JSPS headquarters in Tokyo. The call for application for 2023 is open now, and we accept your application for 3 times through the year. And unfortunately, the first one will be closed on this Friday. However, you still have 2 more chances upcoming next year. And there will be 30 fellowships allocated for this program in fiscal year 2023. And the next one is called Postdoctoral Fellowship Standard. To apply this program, you must obtain PhD degree in the past 6 years. So compared to the previous one, the short-term one, doctoral course students cannot apply for this program, unfortunately. The financial support is as shown here. And by this program, you can stay in Japan from 1 year to 2 years. And as I mentioned in the beginning of my presentation, for this program, for this postdoctoral fellowship standard, you have 2 ways of application. One is application through MUR. 6 fellowships are assigned to MUR in 2022 and these recent years. So call for application opens in autumn. So please keep your eyes on the website of MUR if you are interested in. And also, we accept application to JSPS from your host researchers. And there are 230 fellowships for this scheme. And we also have the 2 times of call for application for this program. And the first one was closed at the beginning of this month, but the second one will come in the next May. So these were the programs called Postdoctoral Fellowship. And next, I'd like to move on to the invitational fellowships for more established, more skilled researchers. So this is long-term invitational fellowships. This fellowship is mainly for the mid-career researchers who hold a full-time position in a university or the non-profit research institute. And financial support is as shown here. And you can visit Japan and conduct your research with your host researchers from 2 months to up to 10 months. With this program, 30 researchers will be invited to Japan in 2023. And then this program is also closed already at the beginning of September. But every year, the information will be opened around spring. So please keep your eyes on the website of the JSPS. And here is another invitational fellowship called Short Stump Program. This is especially for the senior researchers who do not have much time to take a long leave. And the financial support is as shown here: round-trip air ticket, insurance, and the daily allowance for 18,000 yen per day. And the program period is from 14 to 60 days. And with this program, 70 researchers will be invited to Japan for 2023. And we have 2 times of call for application for this program as well. And the second call will be coming in next May. So through these fellowships, the postdoctoral fellowships and the invitational fellowships, many Italian researchers visit Japan every year. In 2021 and 2022, due to the COVID-19, unfortunately, the number of researchers declined. However, we expect to have more researchers after this year. And so these were the programs for the individuals. And I'd like to move on to the bilateral collaborations. So this slide shows our most basic scheme for the bilateral programs. JSPS has a MOU with the CNR, the National Research Council of Italy. If you are interested in this program, please refer to the website of CNR for more details. And this is another type of the bilateral scheme offered by JSPS called Open Partnership, Joint Projects and Seminars. The basic idea of this program is any funding agencies can be a counterpart of JSPS, and the Japanese researchers are funded by JSPS, and the Italian researchers who is going to conduct a research project with Japanese researchers need to gain funding from their funding agencies in Italy. So finally, I'd like to talk about our multilateral collaboration program. This is JSPS Core to Core program. Under this program, scientific collaborations are carried out among these core institutions in at least 3 countries. The objectives of this program is to forge international collaboration in cutting-edge fields and create world-class research hubs, and to foster young researchers through this program. And the fundings for Japanese side is up to 18 million yen per project, and the duration is 5 years. Please note that partner institutions are required to cover their own expenses. And these are the examples of the core-to-core programs running now in Italy. I mean the universities in Italy which are joining the core-to-core program. These are quite a lot, I think. Okay, so I would like to hand over to Ms. Fujimoto again.
So lastly, we would like to introduce our center's activities. JSPS has 11 branch offices around the world, and JSPS Strasbourg office is one of them. In Europe, there are 3 offices other than Strasbourg: London, Stockholm, and Bonn. The main function of these overseas offices is to spread our vision and program around the world. JSPS Strasbourg office is located in the University of Strasbourg. Although we are based in France, we also cover the Francophone countries in Europe and some South European countries such as Italy, Spain, Portugal, and Greece. And this is a photo from the 20th anniversary ceremony, which was held last year. For the past 20 years, our office has been contributing to the promotion of academic exchange between European countries and Japan, and we intend to continue to do so. And we hold academic seminars with collaboration with Maison Universitaire France-Japan, around 15 times a year. These are the seminars which we held this fiscal year. And we also hold a France-Japan forum once a year. This year, we held a forum in September at Paris with the legal and political science. The forum is open to public, so if you are interested in, please check our website for the latest information. And I would like to say a few words about the JSPS Alumni Association. After you finish any of JSPS fellowship programs, you are welcomed to be a member. And there are several JSPS Alumni Association in all over the world, and Francophone is one of them. It was established in 2003, and now we have more than 600 members. And Francophone is open for anyone who speaks French, no matter where the person lives so far. So if you come back from Japan and if you are interested in, you can communicate, and if you can communicate in France, in French, you are more than welcome. It's a huge honor for us to be able to stay in touch with the alumni after their return to their country. But for your information, Alumni Association in Italy is now working to be officially established. And thanks to Ms. Dr. Bossani, I'd like to ask her to talk more about this later. I'd like to introduce some activities of Alumni Association. Francophone holds events like General Assembly and workshops. First alumni workshop was held in Paris in 2020. The alumni gave a presentation on their own research, and we discussed about how we can make the network between France and Japan stronger and so on. And the second workshop will be planned to be held in this December. Another significant one is Bridge Fellowship. The purpose of this program is to give former fellows an opportunity to revisit Japan, to advance their research and make collegial relationships stronger. This program is for members of officially established JSPS Alumni Association. So for Francophone, active members who pay annual membership fees every year can apply to this program. So researchers who is employed as an active researcher working at universities or research institute and fulfill the conditions decided by the Alumni Association is eligible to apply for this program. So thank you so much for your kind attention. And if you have any questions, please feel free to communicate to us by email or something. But today we have several JSPS alumni with us. So after their presentation, we would like to have a Q&A session and welcome your questions. So thank you so much.
just checking. No. So I am Professor Stefania Michelucci, Professor of Anglo-American Studies and World Literature at the University of Genoa. And I have been to Japan thanks to the Japan Society for the Promotion of Science in 2014. So it was an extraordinary experience with, which totally changed, gave a great improvement to my research, to my academic career, and above all, to my life. So Japan is a wonderful country with wonderful people and so many treasures to be discovered. So I really invite you all, to apply for a fellowship in the near future. And my host researcher was Professor Masashi Asai from Kyoto Tachibana University. I would spend many words, telling all the details about my experience. We would like stay here till tonight, but I think we can condense it in the expression, it was like a dream coming true, so a sort of continuing, ongoing inspiration, and a sort of never-ending cultural exchange, which was extremely fruitful on both sides. So, but how did it start? Why was I in touch with many Japanese scholars? I am specialized in modernism and visual arts, and I am the Italian expert on D.H. Lawrence. He's a British author which is extremely read and taught in Japanese universities. So when I was a PhD student and later on, during my early career at the university, I took part in many D.H. Lawrence international conferences all over the world, in Ottawa, Canada, New Mexico, Taos, France, and other places. And to my surprise, I found that the Japanese delegation was so big. It was much bigger, than other delegations from other countries. And that's quite strange and surprising because D.H. Lawrence has never been to Japan. He traveled all over the world. He spent so many years in Italy, in Mexico, New Mexico, in Australia, but he never went to Japan and never wrote about Japan. Yet, it is so, his work is so famous among Japanese scholars. And indeed, just to give you a very simple example, the D.H. Lawrence Society of Japan is second only to Shakespeare Society as far as members are concerned. So I had been in touch, with, we collaborated together with some Japanese scholars, well now, most of them friends. And when I heard about this opportunity, to study and do some research in Japan, I decided to apply for my research on visual modernism, and my hosting university was Kyoto Tachibana University. It's a relatively young university, founded in 1967, southeast of Kyoto, in the ward of Yamashina, where I also lived, is southeast of Tokyo, and the connection both with the city, with the extraordinary city of Kyoto, and with the campus, it's a very lively, nice campus, was excellent, something we are in Italy very, very far away, as far as infrastructures and public transportation. Japan, I would say, is on the top and is really difficult, to compete. So it was extremely, easy, both to go to the city and both to work and do research on in the campus. Okay, briefly about my research, and then something about my experience as a teacher, as a professor there. Okay. My research focused on the influence of no theater on modernist aesthetic. It has been quite neglected by criticism, but I'm totally convinced that traditional, this very ancient, traditional, yet so contemporary and powerful modern form of Japanese theater, which is so different, from our Western tradition, had a great influence on the development of 20th century European modernist aesthetics. When Europe was a little bit collapsing, it was losing points of references. It was looking beyond, beyond Europe for a new source of inspiration. And no theater is a wonderful, extraordinary, condensation of music, art, dance, skillful use of mask, gesture. Is not a performance, but is a kind of story turned through the performance into a visual metaphor, skillfully and organized in a highly, degree of sophistication and cleverness. And I would define it under Western eyes as the embodiment of Wagner's idea of the Gesamtkunstwerk, so a total work of art, okay, where all the arts combine together. You can see here, for instance, the basic stage of the traditional theater, very simple. And then you have a chorus made of four musicians with traditional instruments. And then you have another chorus of singers, from 8 up to 10 singers. And then the actor was like a storyteller. So telling a story known by the audience, but turned into a visual metaphor, as I said before. So it's nothing alike our tradition of Western drama. And of course, while in Japan, I had the chance to expand my knowledge. So to go and see performances, interact with other scholars. So, and it was extremely interesting and fruitful for me to go deeper into this theater and also in between the acts to discuss together, the performance with Japanese scholars. But it was also something fruitful and interesting for them because I could reveal them, the point of view of an outsider, of somebody coming from another culture, from another background. So what was for them a little bit taken for granted, because it was part of their culture, they started looking at it in a different way. And some of my colleagues are like working, doing comparison also with Western theater. And I discovered also other forms of traditional Japanese theater, like kabuki and burrako. Burrako is a form using puppets, very sophisticated puppets, and kabuki is a more popular, urban kind of theater, but very extremely, well done, I would say perfect work of art. Okay. So my stay, of course, wasn't only focused, my research on visual modernism, but I gave some lectures at Kyoto Tachibana University and organized also some seminars and workshops with graduate students. One of them was extremely interesting because they organized a sort of translation of my lectures into Japanese so that they could be open, to a wider audience and especially also to undergraduate students. Then I also gave some lectures on D.H. Lawrence and the visual arts, for scholars coming from all over Japan and members of the D.H. Lawrence Society of Japan. So although my fellowship and my host university was Kyoto Tachibana University, through another member, another professor belonging to the D.H. Lawrence Society of Japan, I was invited within my fellowship to spend 4 days at Keio, University of Tokyo, in the capital. And Keio University is one of the oldest universities in Japan, founded in 1858. And there, I gave some lectures to professor of English literature and 2 members also of the D.H. Lawrence Society of Japan on metamorphosis of dance and dancing, at the beginning of the 20th century. Professor Muto, my host at Keio University, and these researchers, Kumiko Oshii and Yasuhiro Hondo, showed me really the heart of Tokyo. They came with me to see performances, we discussed them together, and made me feel part of it. So I could look at this extraordinary metropolis, one of the biggest in the world, with their own eyes, in the sense probably discovering and unfolding, aspects which are usually unknown or not so immediate and clear, to somebody coming from Europe. And although, after 2014, so my academic engagements and project brought me on the other side of the Atlantic, that's to the United States and mainly, to California and to the University of Berkeley, where I've been a visiting scholar since 2015. I've kept, my ongoing research and my relationship with Japan and with Japanese scholars. And I'm planning, to go back as soon as possible. And it is focused mostly on 2 main projects. One is with my host researcher and other colleagues from the D.H. Lawrence Society of Japan, a monographic issue of the D.H. Lawrence Review, the peer-reviewed journal, American journal, the D.H. Lawrence Review, on the fortune of D.H. Lawrence in Japan. So also with an annotated bibliography of writings upon him, both in Japanese and in English. So to make also the rest of the world aware of some research also written, originally in Japanese, and also to discover why it's so famous, why it's so talking and popular to this culture. And then another interesting project was the application for a cost European, funding project on the representation of crisis. So reenact response, resilience, crisis, communication, action, and trust. It involves 20 countries, mostly European, because it's a project for the European community, but also other countries which are supposed to bring, the point of view for an external observer. And among them, I invited Japan, and through my host, Masashi Asai, I involved some young researcher from other universities in Japan. And although, I had a short time, just 23 days, my short-term fellowship, and it was a very intense experience, and most of the time was devoted to research and also to teaching. I had also some free time, which allowed me, to visit like the beautiful city of Nara, the ancient capital of Japan, about 1 hour from Kyoto, and other wonderful, places. And I would conclude, with a sentence from one of the first founding scholars of the D.H. Lawrence Society of Japan, Professor Takeo Ida, now retired, who said to me, when we met in Nottingham, in Nottingham, UK, paraphrasing Samuel Johnson, who is tired of Kyoto is tired of life. And I totally agree with him. So I hope you can apply, and have a similar experience. And thank you for your attention. Okay, sorry, I'm still staying here because I'm introducing the other alumni. So now is the turn, please, of Professor Roberto Livoti. Let's change the PowerPoint here without switching off the screen. Okay, so you all want.
Sì.
È partita? No, è still one. Is this one? Sapienza? They don't want to hear you. But I'm introducing you quickly. Because I introduced myself. Okay. So, Professor Roberto Livoti is a full professor in experimental physics at the University La Sapienza in Rome, in the Department of Basic and Applied Science for Engineering. Since 2020, is a specially appointed professor at Tokyo Institute of Technology. And is the author of more than 200 scientific papers in the field of optics, photothermal and photoacoustic techniques for non-destructive testing of materials. Professor Livoti, please.
Thank you, Stefania. And I would like to thank for the nice invitation, University of Genoa and JSPS, of course. This is I'm professor from La Sapienza, Dipartimento di Scienze di Base e Applicate per l'Ingegneria, and the title of the talk is My Japan, because Japan, is the origin of sun, and for me was origin of science. And this is thanks to JSPS, because the first grant I received is from JSPS. And I would like to thank also my host professor, Professor Oliver Wright from Hokkaido University, and Professor Junko Morikawa from Tokyo Institute of Technology. And so after 2 years of pandemic, of COVID, I think we share this common feeling to be out of Japan for 2 years, and this is more or less our feeling. We hope to come back again soon, and the origin, the motivation why I'm here is because I met Professor Stefania Michelucci 2 years ago, and also Director Saigo in Roma La Sapienza for a similar event in Sapienza. And so this is the motivation. I'm here and I'm following this new event now, bringing my experience. Okay, I can skip this part because probably you already know, you've already been in Sapienza, so we can skip this part. And just to mention that I work at Dipartimento di Scienze di Base Applicate per l'Ingegneria. This is my department, and that is very close to the main campus. And my activity is non-destructive testing of materials from macro scale to nanoscale with photothermal and photoacoustic techniques. And this is more or less the area of my research now. And the area, okay, contains this nice circle here. But there are circles that I'm doing with my group in Sapienza, at my department, and some circle that I started in Japan, and this was very important in Hokkaido University and also in Tokyo Institute of Technology. And today I would like to talk about this mainly, because I think okay, that science in Japan is great. You can read what I what I wrote here, because from many point of view, I mean, especially for science. And I think I would like to bring the experience of two exceptional professors, and two professors like not Roger Moore and Tony Curtis, but Professor Oliver Wright of Hokkaido University in Sapporo, that is a pioneer of applied physics, so laser picosecond acoustics, and the genius of the lab, because founded a company recently, invented a new kind of lamp. And Professor Junko Morikawa, that was a female professor and director of the research group in the field of organic polymers materials at the Tokyo Institute of Technology. I am grateful to both of them. And okay, the story starts with an application at Jsps many years ago, and I was very happy to receive such kind of letter that say, we are grateful to inform you that your application was funded for 45 days in the year 2002, many years ago, and with a list of beautiful news to support this kind of research, because Japan at the time was very expensive, 3 times respect to Italy, more or less. So it was impossible without this kind of grant. And then I received a second mail from, again, Japan Society for Promotion of Science, other 30 days, 2 years later. So this is, so my host scientist was Professor Oliver Wright in Sapporo, so I decided to bring my coat because it's cold in Sapporo, and so this is the screenshot of the flight plan on JAL, and so I went to Sapporo in autumn 2002 for the first time, exactly in the best season to see the change of colors of the leaves, and this is the Hokkaido University exactly in that season in 2004. So now okay, Hokkaido University is one of the 7 imperial universities in Japan. And the first day, Professor Wright told me the motto of university is "Be ambitious." So, and then he said something else that it's written here. So now I try to read with you that even Professor Wright in 1996 was moved to the Division of Applied Physics at the Faculty of Engineering of Hokkaido University. And he was the first foreign professor in Hokkaido University. So trying to opening a new street, a new way for foreigners to for the access to the Japan University. So it was very important point. And this is the reason I mentioned Professor Wright. And this is Professor Wright that invented these names, ripples and crystals. This is his research in laser picosecond acoustics. And this is the museum of Hokkaido University, because he created this nice picture. These are physics. I mean, these are just a launch of waves in the crystal. And so this nice picture is detected with a laser system, basically. And but the funny fact is, this is now in interactive museum, where it's possible to read all the details. And his research group now, with Osamu Matsuda and Motonobu Tomoda, is doing something beautiful and excellent. And so it's still working of new subjects. And but this is my welcome party when I arrived in 2002 for the first time, and 2004 for the second time. Benvenuto to Roberto. And this is the academic staff of Hokkaido University. So Professor Wright with his group. And this is the first dinner and after dinner, of course. Okay, I can skip this part. This is my first work with them, and my first poster. And so there is nice picture. Some years ago, 20 years ago, unfortunately. And this is the scheme of the device for the characterization with laser picosecond acoustics. Titanium sapphire, it was the laser. At that time in Italy, we had only 5 titanium sapphire in Italy, but so I was very proud, because my mentor, Professor Bertolotti and Professor Sibiglia, they succeed to have a titanium sapphire that costs a huge amount of money in Roma. So I arrived in the Professor Wright professor, and he showed me that he had 3 titanium sapphire in his lab. So I was, oh my God, how is possible? We have 5 titanium sapphire in Italy. So it was incredible. And students at 18 years old, students working with this titanium sapphire said, no, stop doing that, because it costs a lot of money. Okay, and this is part of the project. I can skip the detail, but as you can see, the idea was also to find some hidden layers with thermoelastic properties, because if you heat the sample and it's non-homogeneous, you can have a inhomogeneous thermoelasticity, and you can see something hidden below the surface. So this was the idea at that time. And this is the list of the joint publication we did together in science along the years. And of course, I came back again to Japan every 2 or 3 years, but in other seasons. This was in winter, so it was more difficult in winter, because Sapporo winter starts from October to April. This is winter, more or less, in Sapporo. And so this was part of the training to clean the car. And there is also the snow festival in February, every year in February, and they create some marvelous crystal ice sculpture in Odori. The Odori is the main street of Sapporo, and it's something unbelievable. People from Australia, from China, they are coming to Sapporo for this snow festival. Very amazing. I remember the motto is be ambitious, and so even not only in science, but be ambitious means also to jump this platform of the Winter Olympic Games in Sapporo 1972. So we did? No, we didn't. Of course we did. And then again, this was my final letter to JSPS because to explain the itinerary. So the first visit to Professor Wright, it's very important to give a feedback to JSPS, also saying something that you visit other laboratories in Japan, not only Hokkaido, but also Tokyo Institute of Technology, for example, Professor Junko Marikawa and Professor Hashimoto, and the main activities, and also some comments and details. But the comments here is beautiful, I can read. Because at that time, this is true, I didn't write now. I wrote in 2002 or 2004, and I said, I would like to thank JSPS, CNR, and my also scientists because the program is well publicized by both CNR and JSPS. It is accessible and provides a continuous grant which covers completely the travel expense, the subsistence expense, as well as the cost of the sickness and accident. Honestly, I did not find any other serious program like this. And this is true. So really, this is what I wrote 20 years ago. Okay, just briefly, I think I have just 2 or 3 minutes, maybe, just to say something about Tokyo Institute of Technology. Tokyo, I moved to Tokyo, and this is Professor Hashimoto and Professor Junko Morikawa and other friends in 2004. But as a follow-up, now I am specially appointed professor because we continue the collaboration in Italy and in Japan. And so in 2019, just before the pandemic, they invite me as a specially appointed professor. This was my first lecture before the pandemic, January 2020. And this is the topic, photoacoustic and photothermal techniques for material testing. And this was the faculty members, again, before the pandemic in 2020. And my wife told me, oh, there is a pandemic in China. You should hurry, come back Italy soon, come back Italy soon. But finally, the pandemic was in Italy, not in Japan. So it was very fun. And this is the another nice evening with A-Face with Professor Hashimoto. It's a spin-off of Tokyo Institute of Technology. And okay, but the idea of this international collaboration generated in me this feeling to collaborate with more people and create schools like one in Erice, directed by Professor Zikiki. And so I continue to grow up with a larger community conference and with foreign friends, scientists, and in this area, of course, in the area of my applications, and also recently with Poland in the frame of Center of Excellence Ensemble 3, led by Professor Conchita Sibilia, that is in our SBI, the Italian leader at Sapienza. And so this is the idea. Okay, everything started with JSPS 2004, and then this changed also the mentality, not only science, the mentality to the capability to do networking. And arrivederci, and thank you very much for the attention.
I'd like to introduce you now to Vincenzo Vitaliano, who doesn't unfortunately appear in the program that was outside the room, the one you have received, because he joined us later, the last minute, but he's very welcome here, and we are all happy to listen to his own experience. Professor Vincenzo Vitaliano is professor in mathematical physics at the University of Genoa. He had a PhD at the School for Advanced, International School for Advanced Studies in Trieste, and he spent 6 years sponsored by the Foundation for Science and Technology in Lisbon, Portugal. Then he spent time at Keio University, thanks to the Japan Society for the Promotion of Science. And he was also awarded a Marie Curie Fellowship in Barcelona before coming, to the University of Genoa. So please, your turn.
Thank you very much, Stefania. Yeah, I'm like the Easter eggs, suddenly I can appear wherever it is. Actually, before coming to Genoa, I was also lecturing in England. I'm kind of gypsy, I like to move around, to travel around, and I left a piece of earth in every place in each place that where I spent some time. A big piece of earth actually is still there in Japan, where I was from 2017 to 2019, so a kind of big experience, experience of 2 years. I had one of these Jsps Postdoctoral Fellowships. I do not have any presentation. There is a reason, because I don't like to take pictures. Okay, this is a small but big difference with Japanese people that take a lot of pictures instead. I have to confess that my first smartphone, I bought my first smartphone in Japan. I was not used to use any smartphone, but in Japan, without a smartphone, you cannot survive, especially if you do not speak Japanese. So, and if you are in a metropolis like Tokyo. I was in Keio University, which has been introduced before by Professor Michelucci. That's one of the most tensioned universities in Japan. That's true. Actually, I think that's the most tensioned private university in Japan. Watch out. The founder of Keio University, as far as I know, is the guy which is on the 10,000 yen banknote. It's somebody which is quite important in Japan. That university, it's a great place, okay? Let me say, I'm not even just a JSPS alumnus. Actually, let me consider myself as a grandson of JSPS, because my host in Japan was an Italian guy that was a JSPS fellow before me, that became professor in Keio University in theoretical physics. Actually, I'm mathematical physicist and theoretical physicist. This guy is Antonino Flacchi. If we are online, ciao Antonino. And he was the one that really pushed me in trying to get this fellowship. He said, look, Enzo, there is a very, very important thing to know. You have to try to get for yourself the best for your career. I was a postdoc in Lisbon at the time. Well, I had this fellowship, this very, very long fellowship in Portugal. He said, the best in your life, there are a couple of fellowships which are extremely important fellowships, and that you can spend for your career in your curriculum. One of these is, well, for you that you are European, most of you are European, you know that there is the Marie Curie. The other one is the JSPS Fellowship, which is actually the equivalent of Marie Curie in Japan. For Japanese people, that's exactly the same thing. Abroad, now we are starting to know better this kind of reality. But it's a very, very, very prestigious fellowship. And if you want something strong, a seal on your curriculum that you can spend then when you're looking for permanent positions, well, the JSPS seal is something that you have to have in the curriculum. So I said, okay, Nino, let's try to get this. Let's try to apply you as a host, me as a fellow. Well, I was one of the guys of the cartoon of before that succeed. Something important that I would like to transmit you, if you want to try to get this kind of fellowships and to participate in the JSPS program, try to get in touch as soon as possible with hosts in Japan, okay? It's even better if you're able to start to work with them. I mean, I had absolutely, I'm sure that I was passing on top of many, many people just because I already had a couple of work with Nino Sensei, with my host there. And I'm quite sure you guys, you can probably, well, as far as I remember, I read something on the presentation before. If you have this kind of connection, even before applying, that is surely helping, improving your application. Japan is, well, we know it's different. That's, when I arrived there, let me confess, it was not one of the first place I was thinking about when I said, okay, I shall move on and looking for another job. I was going there for scientific purposes. I mean, Japan is a great, incredible place for scientific purposes. Apart that the salary is, well, you have seen, it's a very, very good salary. And I was living in Tokyo. I will speak about the life in Tokyo later. It was quite fair. I mean, Tokyo is not so expensive as I was expected. You have a lot of money for your research. The kakeishi, I don't know now, but the kakeishi at the time was something like 2 million yen, which at the time was something like 20,000 euros over 2 years. So basically, you can cover everything. You can cover your travels for conferences. You can cover the laptops for working, eventually books if you need book because your university does not have exactly that book. So this is something that here in Europe I could just dream of. You know, I mean, I remember that I was in Portugal. I had something like a budget of 700 euros per year. When I arrived in Japan with these 20,000 euros in 2 years, I said, come on, I can do incredible things with these 20,000 euros. So yeah, in any case, life in Japan is different. I arrived there, I was a bit scared. I remember I arrived there on the 31st of October 2017, the night, which is Halloween. So I said, okay, that's fine, done. I arrived there, life completely strange, things that I couldn't understand. I mean, mobile phone that was not working because I use a kind of old mobile phone. That's fine. Day by day, you start to understand how things work. And they work. I mean, yes, there is bureaucracy, but everything is, linear, perfect. If you are just following the rules, you are able to get everything that you need. Important, if you are going there for a couple of years, take into account that usually universities help you in the first semester, in the sense that most of the university has some kind of agreement with hotels. They own their own guest house and so forth and so on. After 6 months, you will be on your own. After 6 months, you have to look for a flat. You have to look for an apartment. And everything is going through agencies in Japan. Well, what you do, you have to find the anima via, a good soul, which is Japanese speaking eventually, and which is helping you in going around for finding your own place. I was able to find a very, very good one. I was living in Nakameguro, which probably the name doesn't tell you anything. Nakameguro is quite famous because if you are putting on television when is the Sakura? April, around April, right? So there is always a video of the Sakura, of the cherry blossom in Japan that they are showing. It's this street with the river in the middle and a lot of these fantastic trees that are full of cherry blossoms. I was living there. It was a fantastic place, apart during the cherry blossom season, because it was so packed of people that you couldn't even move. So I was running to the metro station for going to university. I was like trying to find my way there. During the other part of the year, it was a fantastic place. But that week was basically the week where you do not want to be in Nakameguro. Was a place that was, I remember, 25 minutes walking from Shibuya, which is this, probably you know Shibuya as well. It's this crossroads. It's a huge crossroads that you see in movies and in television. And when you are 20 minutes walking from Shibuya in Tokyo, basically you are in the middle of everything. You can do everything. You can spend your night there and coming back. You can have fun with other people, with other fellows. Basically, when I was in Japan, I met a lot of very, very friendly guys. Japanese people are extremely friendly. They love to talk with you. They want to talk to you. They want to, and most importantly, these are guys that love to hear things from you. They are people that are listening to you, not people that want to chat, you know, to say their own experience, like me in this moment, right? They are there to listen to you because they are interested in you. And that's something fantastic. It's very, very difficult to find anywhere else in the world. Yeah, that's true that there are some drawbacks. I don't want to do very much about this because, yeah, you have kind of difficulties. Stupid thing, you have to catch the last night train because otherwise you are not going home. Well, if you live close to Shibuya, that's fine. But if you're going to Shinjuku and you want to go back home after midnight, after 1, probably you can't. You have to wait 6 a.m., 5 a.m. Red Sibia, 5 a.m., 6 a.m. You have to wait 5 a.m. to go back home because there is no metro. Okay, that's a very, very small drawback. There's another one which is a bit larger, cockroaches. I hate cockroaches. Well, in Japan, there are a lot of cockroaches. They are very, very used to this. And the first thing that you learn when you arrive in Japan is that you have to buy a special, they call it the cockroaches hotel, right? That you put in your house here and there, and cockroaches disappear. That's something fantastic. When somebody was visiting me, the first thing that I was doing is to offering this present, bam, the cockroaches hotel. And these guys, oh, is this very important? Yes, that's something important. So apart for this, which is, kind of small thing, cicade during summertime. Cicade, they are not like our cicadas. They are very noisy. And if you're living close to a river, well, that could be absolutely a mess. Where else? My strong suggestion, just 1 minute, the very, very last thing. Anyway, my very suggestion is try to use these opportunities because this is surely giving you a kick for your career. That's going to be extremely important for your career. It's going to be extremely important as a life experience. I would go back to Japan immediately. I love Genoa. I'm very, very happy to be here. I love Genoa. But I really would like to go there again with one of these possibilities that JSPS is offering you for short visits. If you have the chance to have one of these long-term positions for 2 years, please try to do that. Not just once. If you cannot succeed the first time, try the second and the third time, and you will not regret it. Thank you.
Thank you, Vincenzo, for your talk and experience. Actually, I would like to add that I didn't have such a difficulty in finding an accommodation because it was all arranged by my host, so Professor Masashi Asai, who's now a very good friend of mine, arranged it for me. He showed me different opportunities, and then we went for one. So I I didn't have that experience about house looking, Okay, now is the turn of our last speaker, Dr. Silvia Bolzani. She got a bachelor and master degree in medical biotechnology at the University of Bologna and a PhD in biomedical science and biotechnology at the University of Ferrara. And since then, she has been, doing research and working in different universities in Italy, including abroad, Gumna University, and thanks to the Japan Society for the Promotion of Science, and precisely the Institute of Molecular and Cellular Regulation. And since 2019, she's the coordinating member of the Association of the Italian Researcher in Japan and in charge of the Jsps Alumni Italy Association establishment, okay, which Fujimoto introduced before. And now we will hear about that. Please.
So thank you very much to Stefania Michelucci and University of Genoa and JSPS to invite me here. And my name is Silvia Bolzani, and I'm a PhD in biomedical sciences and biotechnology. Briefly, I am introduce myself. As Stefania already said, I got a bachelor and a master degree in medical biotechnology at the University of Bologna. And after that, I worked for a while in the academia in Italy. And finally, in 2014, I decided to start the PhD course. And exactly during this experience, I had the opportunity to go to Japan for the first time, because in this course, it was mandatory to go abroad at least for 3 months. So I had a great opportunity to go to Japan in the Riken Institute in Yokohama. And this experience for me was amazing. So I thought, why? I want to go back there after my PhD for the postdoc. And during this time, I heard about the JSPS. So I applied the first time in 2017. Unfortunately, I failed. But in 2018, I tried again, and finally I got a JSPS Postdoctoral Standard Fellowship at Gunma University. The Gunma University is a university in Japan that was established in 1949, and it was formed by different colleges in Gunma Prefecture. I worked in Maebashi in the medical section in the Showa campus. And first of all, I want to talk about Maebashi. Maebashi is the capital city of Gunma Prefecture, and as you can see, is exactly in the center of Japan. And I think it's a special place for the amazing nature. And I love hiking, so for me it was perfect because it's surrounded by several mountains like Haruna and Akagi-san. During the sakura is so beautiful, and not to mention to the amazing food that I tried in these 4 years. And Gunma is a special prefecture to me because, again, it's a special place for the nature. And I really, really love onsen. I'm addicted. So that are the Japanese hot springs. For me, they are amazing. So I went to onsen so many times, and I went to hiking. So if you love outdoor activities, is your place. But going back to my postdoc, so I work in Inagaki Sensei lab in the Institute of Molecular and Cellular Regulation in Gunma University. And the main aim of this lab is to investigate the epigenetic mechanism by which the environmental factors are linked to metabolic disease, using different techniques, most of them from epigenetics. So epigenetics is the study of phenotypic changes that not affecting the DNA sequence. And the main modification are DNA, RNA, and histone methylation. And specifically, my project was exactly on about the histone methylation. And I tried to understand how epigenetic changes to the chromatin could be involved in the adipocyte differentiation with the whole implication in metabolic diseases. So specifically, I used the CRISPR Sontag-Dicas9 system that is a genetic editing tool to artificially modify in my case, the histone methylation in order to modify also the gene expression and finally the adipocyte differentiation. And now I came back to Italy the last May, but I'm still working on the publication of this research with my sensei in Japan. But during these 4 years in Japan, I had also the opportunity to meet other Italian researchers there. And there was a great opportunity because finally we established the ARJ, the Association of Italian Researchers in Japan. So first of all, the RJ logo concept, it took a while for us to decide which logo for this association. And we decided to use something that could connect Japan with Italy. So the Incan, the characteristic Japan seal, emblem of a millenary tradition, and the Vitruvian man, so the Italian universal symbol of harmony between art and science. And finally, we got this symbol for our association. And so briefly about the history of IRJ, we started, the president started in 2015 just as a Facebook group. But in 2018, we created the first working group of Italian researchers, and we talk also and collaborate with the Italian embassy, and we finally officially registered the association in Milan in 2019. And we present our association in the same year in November to the vice presidents of the Italian Chamber of Deputies and the Senate in the Italian embassy in Tokyo. And finally, we officially inaugurated the ARJ at Waseda University in Tokyo in December 2019. So I can divide our activity in 3 main sectors. First of all, pragmatic support. So if you want to go to Japan, and if you want to apply to JSPS, you want to know how to live there, and you need support for pension tax or funding applications, or if you are in Japan and you plan to go back to Italy or Europe, you can contact us, and you can be part of our association. And the most important thing, we have a strong interaction with the Italian embassy in Japan. And here, when the last October, we met the new Italian ambassador, unfortunately online, because as you know, because of the pandemic, it wasn't so easy to meet in person. But after that, before I left, we had also an event in the embassy finally, and we could meet in person. And some cultural events like Japanese and Italian history and art talks, and also scientific talks like the initiative from the Italian embassy, Italian Samurai, and also some community activities, so indoor and outdoor activities in Japan. So when we could, we go for hiking or some other outdoor activities. But during the COVID, we had the virtual izakaya, so we can anyway be in contact. And this is something related to my duty in this association. I'm in charge as a coordinator member for the relations with the JSPS and to establish the JSPS Alumni Association. So, as you know, the JSPS supports the establishment of alumni association all over the world, and it's very important to support activities and to keep and strengthen the relations between Italian researchers, JSPS, and Japan. And the first JSPS Alumni Association was established in Germany in 1995. And this activity, this first activity has led the way to the establishment of other alumni associations in the world. So far, 20. And we hope to add our flag soon. And talking about the opportunities that we have with the JSPS alumni, first of all, as I mentioned, to maintain and strengthen the relations between foreign researchers and the JSPS and Japan. And also, as Fujimoto-san mentioned before, the bridge program, that is also a very great opportunity. And we also plan to hold events like annual symposium and also cultural activities like we are doing also with the ARJ Association, and also strengthen the network between the researchers themselves. And so how we started, we first contacted the JSPS in 2020, and we expressed our intention to establish the JSPS Alumni Association, and we asked about the correct procedure for this. And in December 2020, we contacted the former JSPS fellows to find out how many of them wanted to join our intention, and we found 80 researchers. That it's a good start. And in 2021, beside the pandemic, we tried anyway to keep our activity as ARJ and to involve also the JSPS alumni in our activity. But especially, we finally held the first online JSPS Alumni Italy reunion, and 44 Italians actively participate in this meeting. And finally, in 2022, so really recently, we contacted the JSPS office in Strasbourg, and I have to say thank you, because you are help us a lot for in our intention to establish the JSPS alumni. And here you can see the picture from our first reunion. So our future plans for this association is to hold events, and also, since ARJ promotes several cultural and scientific activities that can gather the JSPS Italian alumni together with other Italian researchers in Japan, so we can also merge the activities. And we want also to hold events in Italy, not only in Japan, not only online, but also events in person in Italy, and the annual JSPS Alumni Symposium, and finally also to give information about job and research opportunities for bilateral exchange between the two countries. And if you are interested in our activity, you can find our information on our website. And thank you very much for the attention.
Thank you, Silvia. So we have come to the conclusion of our event, and now is time for the audience. So we are starting now the questions and answers session, and you're welcome, to, since you have followed, all our talks. If you have any doubts, if you have curiosity, if you want, to discuss further some aspects of these opportunities, here you are, here is your turn. Please. Yes? I'm going to bring you the microphone. From remote.
I'd like to ask you how I would like to ask you how competitive are these selections? So how many people on the average can apply to one of these positions?
The most competitive one is Postdoctoral Fellowship standard, which is about for the applications through the JSPS Tokyo. It's around 10%, 10-20% or something. But for the educational fellowships, it's around 40 or 50%. So the percentage is quite different. Is my answer?
I would like to.
I would like to.
I don't know the applications through Italian MUR, but I think that is better if it's because JSPS Tokyo, we have more than 230 fellowships, but however, all the researchers from all over the world can apply. That means that it's a little bit competitive, even if there is a 230 slots. But in Italy, only Italian-related researchers can apply. So maybe it's better, I think.
Hello, Massimiliano Cavallin, PhD candidate of the 36th cycle in C Sciences and Technologies from La Spezia. And I am actually at the third year of my PhD program, and so I'm coming to a closure. And I would like to know if it would be better in my position to consider to apply for a period of research for my PhD research, which is concerning sustainability of cruise ships. So, within the PhD, within the terms of my PhD, or it would be better to consider something after my PhD, so to continue my academic career with a JSPS application. Thank you.
Your question is, when is the best timing to apply the fellowship? Is my understanding correct? Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. So, JSPS standard fellowship, you must complete your PhD course fully. So, you cannot apply if you if you fail to obtain the you can apply when you are in postdoc and when you are in doctoral course, but you have to obtain before your visit in Japan. That is the postdoctoral fellowship for standard. But if you apply to the short term, you can apply, of course, in the doctoral course, and within 2 years for finishing your after you finish your research in Japan. It is 2 years. It's okay. So for the postdoctoral fellowship, if you to apply to the postdoctoral fellowship, you must be the young researcher. I mean, within the 6 years after obtaining the postdoc. So it's a little bit difficult and complicated when you should apply to your to the program. But I think the earlier is better, or trying sometimes would be better.
So are there any funding opportunities for students who aren't PhD students? So undergraduates or graduate students who don't have a PhD or aren't enrolled in a PhD course?
Our target is researchers, I mean, not students. For students, we have JASSO. Japanese government has a JASSO, which is, they support the students from all over the world, not only in Japan, but also from all over the world. So actually we have some programs for the master students and PhD students, but actually it is a little bit difficult to apply from Italy, because this program is for the researchers for the students who would like to be a researcher in the future for the certain countries. So actually we don't have a program for the students. Yes.
Something since PhD candidates should like aim at concluding, completing their PhD program, and then go on with the application. That's one of the main targets, from PhD students will get, complete a PhD onwards. So researcher, associate professor, full professor onward. And in the presentation, you had also the time, in the sense that if you apply for a postdoc, if I'm not wrong, either you have your PhD or had it within the 6 years. You can apply as a researcher or associate professor, full professor from 6 years onwards. Okay? So, other questions?
Another one. This program is specially somehow intended for university personnel and university students, or also for research institutions. So I saw CNR, so possibly also researchers from institutions are welcome. Let's say. Okay, not for company, but for public institutions.
Or asking something in relation to this question, but you always need to have hosting university. It cannot be an institution outside the university, or no? Yeah. Okay. That's good. Thank you. Arigato. Other questions?
Maybe it's not strictly a question, but I was a fellow of the Jsps. Sometimes it's a little bit complicated to apply, or at least it appears complicated. but I would like to testify that it's not complicated, because as soon as you are in contact with someone in Japan, then they will support you for everything. And I had this experience. I would like to witness that at least the JSPS and professor of the university took care of me and my application since the beginning. And then if you are thinking about an application, don't be scared. And I'm also available if you need some advice.
So here at the University of Genoa, especially for people in the audience, if you need some help, ricerca internazionale, Teresa Fiorini, you can ask for some help in relation to these fellowships and the opportunities. So I think we have come to our conclusion, and I hope you enjoyed the event, and that we have shown our field, which will blossom. And I wish you, a nice day and a nice future with your research. There is some information material, sorry for that, and you're welcome to take some of the information material the Japan Society of Emotional Science brought here.
Non l'ho fatta guidare.